Welcome to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch and would like to purchase it at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore self-winding chronograph in rose gold with a titanium bezel in gray. I'm going to talk to you about, the reference number is 26420OI.OO.A015VE.01. I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about the history, do a little bit of comparison to other models, then talk to you about the bezel dial case bracelet movement, try it on, and then give you my thoughts. So let's start with a little history. This is the Royal Oak Offshore. It comes from AP's Offshore line. AP makes 4 basic lines: the Royal Oak, which is kind of the dressier version of their watch, dressier sports watch. It's still a sports watch though. Then they have the Offshore, which is what you see here, which is a beefed up version of the Royal Oak, and it came out in roughly 1993. And the Royal Oak came out in 1976. So the Offshore is an offshoot of the Royal Oak, and this is what you see here. Then the Royal Oak came out, the Audemars came out with the Concept, and the Concept is the futuristic version of the Royal Oak or the Offshore, and that came out approximately 20 years ago in early 2000. And recently the AP has come out with the code 1159, which is their dress watch. So 4 basic lines, and of these 4 basic lines, what you're looking at here is the Offshore. Okay, now let's talk a little bit. That is a little bit about the history. Now let's talk about this watch and compare it to its some of its predecessors. The Royal Oak Offshore comes in either size 42 millimeters, or it used to come in size 44. This 43 came out in 2021 and has replaced the 44 millimeter Offshores, and it came out in 2021. Now, what is different about it? Many things are different. Actually, almost everything about it is different except for the same basic look. And we'll go through that as we go through this. Let's start with the case. This is a 43 millimeter case. From my thumb to my index finger, from the 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock position, that is 43 millimeters, and it's the largest Offshore that AP is making. And it actually is smaller by 1 millimeter than its predecessor, which was 44 millimeters. So the case itself is smaller. What else was different is that the polishing on the case is also different than previous generations, in that these beveled edges, the edges right here on the side, are more pronounced. Before they were thinner, they had a smaller high polish. Now they have a bigger high polish. It's a more pronounced and better finish, if you ask me, and a smaller case. Okay, so in the case in this situation, it's rose gold. AP calls it pink gold. Rose gold doesn't really matter, whichever you call it. It's all basically the same. And what is special about the case? Well, it has this very thick lug here. You can hardly even call it a lug. Most watches have a lug, and then they have a hollowed out center, and then they have a bar going through it, which then goes through the bracelet or strap and attaches the strap to the case. In this situation, AP has hit all that and made a very wide case, and this is classic AP Offshore, and this was the design back then, and it's stayed strong until now, and even now it's one of the most forward-looking watches. And the way that they connect it is, as you see here, which allows there to be really no lug, or at least the lug is hidden, and it has a very distinctive shape. Okay, and if you ask me, it's one of the most beautiful cases ever made. Okay, so that is the case, and I guess I should also say this: AP is the king of making variations. They make tons of different variations. They do this watch in ceramic, steel, titanium, rose gold, you name it. They've done even tantalum. They've done so many different variations. They've done yellow gold for ladies. They've done like every material that you can think of. They've done it. Okay, so it's a very, very nice case, and they've done it in very many variations. So if you don't like this variation, they have other variations. I really like this variation, and it's one of 2 only rose gold cases that they make. They make another rose gold with a black dial. This is the gray dial one. So it's a fantastic case. All right, anyways, that's the case. Let's move on to the next point, which is the bezel. Now this bezel, if you look at it, at first it kind of looks like it's a ceramic bezel. It's actually made of titanium. Now you might wonder, well, why would you want to make it out of titanium? Well, one, titanium is super duper strong, and titanium has a very good look. Gold and titanium is a good look together, and which also matches the side of these pushers, which I'm going to get to when I get to it. But the bezel itself is titanium. Now, why would you want titanium versus ceramic? Well, you got to remember, ceramic doesn't scratch, but it does crack. So if you were to hit this hard enough, you can actually crack the bezel. On a ceramic bezel, that is. On the other rose gold, the one that has a black dial, it has a black ceramic bezel. So if you hit that hard enough, you'll just literally crack it. Titanium, on the other hand, it's actually malleable. Not very malleable, but it won't crack. So it'll bend. You'll get a dent instead of an entire crack. So in that sense, it's a good thing. But most of us aren't taking this watch, playing hockey with it and smashing it around, so you're probably not going to hit it so hard that you break it. So that shouldn't be a huge concern. But why would you want a titanium bezel? Well, aside from just being more durable in some ways than ceramic, it's a very beautiful look, and also it makes the watch lighter. Think about that. The watch is already heavy. It has this gold, so you put this titanium bezel on it, it makes it much lighter. Okay, and I believe it's even lighter than ceramic, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not sure about that. You can check me on it. But anyways, okay, now since we're talking about the bezel, oh yeah, by the way, the bezel, of course, it has this famous iconic octagonal shape, and this carries through their Royal Oak line. It also actually even carries through the mid case of their Code 1159. This bezel is just a beautiful bezel. It has this octagonal shape. Everybody can recognize it with these hexagonal screws. They're not actually screws. You actually screw it in from the backside, and it's just an acceptor. Okay, now since we're talking about bezel, I guess we could talk about these pushers. Now at 43 millimeters, AP has decided to use these angular pushers, which I believe are very beautiful. And if you look at the smaller version, the 42 millimeters offshore, they have circular pushers, which is old school, and it's not nice, but it's just that these angular pushers are just much more futuristic, beautiful. And if you look at them closely, they're just done to perfection. They have a brushed finish on the top of them, and on the which matches the finish of the bezel and matches the finish of the top of the pusher holders. And even the pusher holders are angular to match. So it just really looks like it was all designed as one singular piece, as opposed to constructing it or going off of previous watches. That's what I mean by Offshore being a completely new invention, in that it completely looks like a watch that was actually designed in one go, as opposed to taking pieces of different watches and slamming them all together or going off of previous templates. Okay, no other brand does pushers quite like this. Okay, and they did a nice gold accent on the crown, head of the crown, so that it matches the gold. I think it's just a really nice touch, to kind of space out these touches to give the watch this beautiful look to it. Okay, and I should also mention that the parts that get the most amount of wear are the parts that you touch most often. What parts do you touch? You touch the pushers, you touch the crown because you need to set the time, and those parts wisely have been put in ceramic. Why? Because you're touching them over and over and you can wear them out, so they put them in ceramic. And also it's just a very nice look to it, gives some depth and change to it, so it looks very nice. Okay, now I forgot to tell you, since we're talking about the case, we should also talk about the thickness. Let me turn it on its side. The watch is 14.4 millimeters in thickness, which is not very thick. If you think about it, a deep sea Rolex is, I think it's over 16 millimeters, that is. and a Datejust is around 12. This is a chronograph and it's an AP. It's very large. Offshore, so 14.4 is not an overly large watch. It's actually a very well-sized watch if you ask me. Okay, now let's move on to the dial. The dial is a gray dial with a mega tapestry pattern with black counters and external zone. The pink gold applied hour markers and Royal Oak hands have luminescent coating and has a black inner bezel. Now, what does all that mean? I kind of just read you what's on the website. Now, what do I like about this bezel? Well, one is they don't do a lot of gray dials. I think the gray looks beautiful in that it matches the bezel. And if you look at the accents of the hour markers and the hands, they're all in gold. They're all in rose gold, which is a beautiful touch, kind of to be expected, right? But it's just a nice touch. It matches the case. And if you notice from previous versions, the hands are actually thicker and the hour markers are actually thicker. Why is that? It's to add legibility to the watch so that you can read it much more easily in the you can read it much easier. Okay, all right, now let's move on to the bracelet. Now the bracelet, it looks like a rubber bracelet, but it's actually a gray calf strap with a 18 karat pink gold pin buckle. Okay, and what is special about this buckle? Now I was telling you at the very beginning, I'll tell you what has changed. Well, the only thing that hasn't changed is the bezel. The dial is more legible. The case has a better polish and it's smaller, and the pushers have been redesigned so they look like you see here. And also the bracelet is redesigned because the buckle before had a very sharp edge to it. Now it's more rounded, as you see this buckle is. It's like a pin buckle, but not only is it more rounded at the pin buckle itself so you don't get hurt when you wear it, you can also exchange the strap by simply pressing these two buttons. You can pull this out at any time and change the strap. Okay, so and AP has wisely made straps that adjust to the watch and make it look more seamless, like as if it were one piece. Patek, by example, they just started doing that. Before, they would just throw a black crocodile strap on every watch. It just looked kind of lame, to be honest. You got to match the strap to the watch. It's all one cohesive thing. Okay, all right, now let's move on to the movement. Now even the movement has changed. I was telling you what is different. Now this is a caliber 4401. Now you might wonder, well, what is different? Before it was nice, now it's nice. Yes, that's true. It's true. But before, it wasn't that nice. Why? Because if you look at the old movements, they were too small for the case. They had a tiny little movement. This movement is 32 millimeters. The old movement was 28 millimeters. You might not think that's a lot, but when we're talking it's like 20% bigger. And this movement fills the back of the case, and it looks much more modern. That old movement did not have this beautiful. It did not look this nice and this modern, and it didn't look this big. You have to have a big movement for a big watch. It's like having a 4-cylinder motor in a huge car. It doesn't work. You have to have the right size motor for the right size car. Likewise, you have to have the right size movement for the right size watch, and this movement definitely fits it. Okay, anyways, look. It's time for me to give you my thoughts. I'm going to try it on. I'm 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. And my wrist size is 7.5 inches. And my thoughts on this is AP is one of my favorite brands, if not maybe my favorite. I think they make fantastic watches. When it comes to sports ones, nobody can beat them except maybe Richard Mille, which, by the way, AP makes the movements for Richard Mille in their AP La Loc LLL shop. And so AP is making some of the best watches, if not the best watches in the world. And when it comes to sports watches, they make the most variations. They know what they're doing when it comes to sports watches. They're basically numero uno on this. Okay, now I like the Offshore a lot. Why? Because it's a sports watch. It's not meant to be worn over your suit cuff. People say, oh, it's too thick. Well, it's not meant to be worn over your suit cuff. It's meant to be worn in a sporting type manner. So you in your shorts or jeans or something casual. That's the look of the Offshore. That's the whole purpose of the Offshore. Okay, if you want something more dressy, you go with Royal Oak. Now, I love this combination. I love rose gold. First of all, it looks very luxurious and beautiful, and it's a toss-up between this one and the black one. But for me, for my money, if I were going to buy it, I would buy the gray one because it's a little bit more special than the black one. The black one's good, but the gray one to me is a little bit better. Okay, so those are my thoughts. I love this watch, and if you want to buy it, go to jazztime.com or click on the link in the description below.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to Model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.